order at 7:08 p.m. Ms. Covere, will you call roll call, please?
Manufo Leah Inga Anawai.
Here.
Aaron Rashba.
Here.
Shaquille Ali is not present. Anthony Sujisaka.
Present.
Andrea Jordan.
Here. Now we're going to be moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance, and I am going to choose a volunteer. Miss Scott. Yes, because you were talking. No. Thank you, Ms. Scott. We're going to be moving on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any comments? If not, I will take a motion.
Move to approve.
A second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. So this is a very special night. And so before we fully get started, I do want to recognize that we have some dignitaries in the crowd today. So I just want to recognize both from Supervisor Canepa's office. I want to also recognize Vice Mayor Manalo from the City of Daly City. I would like to also recognize former Trustee Garrett, former Trustee Koo, and Executive Director of DCPLA, Ms. Magbilong. And with that, we're going to be moving to special presentations in recognition of our retiring cabinet member, Bernie Vidales, Superintendent. So we're going to start off with trustee comments, and then I'll move to a public comment. I know that's why most of you are here in the crowd today, and so we'll all give you some time to speak about a sad but great moment that we're going to be recognizing today. And so with that, I'd like to start on my left.
You thought I thought I had more time. Anyway, so I mean, I'll keep it short and sweet because I want to. I'll say more at your retirement event. But anyway, so I've had the fortune of working with Bernie for the past year and a half, 2 years, almost 2 years now. And so, you know, you've been a great support, especially like going into being a board member. He was very supportive, welcoming. He's always smiling. I don't think I've ever seen him not smiling. And again, I got to know him really well at the AXA conference. And so I'm sorry our time was so short. And thank you for everything that you've done for the past, was it 15 years in the district? Yeah. Congratulations. It's well earned.
Okay, I will keep my comments brief because I know there will be other opportunities to commend Superintendent Vidales, but I just wanted to say I've seen again and again in my career how much that stable leadership matters. And we are very fortunate in this district to have benefited from the strong, stable, excellent leadership of Bernie Vidales. And I wanted to thank you for mentoring me, helping me, teaching me as I got started in my journey on the school board. I'm disappointed not to get to work with you longer, but I am confident in my ability to serve in this role thanks to your guidance. So thank you for all that you've done, all that you've accomplished for the JESD, and wishing you very well. Congratulations on your retirement.
I don't want to offer these remarks. Many of us don't. I've been incredibly fortunate to know you prior to me coming onto the school board, and you are one of the core reasons why I sit here today. You definitely inspired me and encouraged me that leadership is not an easy task, but when you're tapped on the shoulder to step up to the plate, especially someone such as yourself, who I hold in high regard, I couldn't say no. And I just want to thank you, Superintendent Vidales, for your many years of service in and out of the district. I've said it repeatedly in years before that when other districts, not just at CSBA, but in other conversations in other circles, share some of the frustrations that they have in their districts. We've been very fortunate that we hear them speak highly of you. And it gives me great pride to chime in past years and say, that's our guy. That's our superintendent. And the many things that we've been able to do first in many school districts in this county has been because you've been a forward thinker. Many things that we may have missed or unaware of, you've brought them to us. And it took a courageous leader to do a lot of the things that we not only envisioned, but like the workforce development, youth cinema, ethnic studies, and so much more prior to me sitting in this seat happened because you are not just a visionary, you are a compassionate leader. So as we bid you farewell, and we hope that you actually sit still and enjoy retirement, because I've been hearing that many want to tap into your wisdom, but I hope they let you sit and be still, at least for a little while, so you can soak up the much deserved rest and joy that I know that your family and friends in your immediate community are looking forward to enjoying with you. But Bernie, you've been a dear friend. We've been through a lot together. When I lost my son, you were there for me. I'm so grateful to call you friend. I've been through some trying times as an individual in the community, and you've always shared your wisdom truthfully, not just to protect the district, but you were looking out for me too as a person, and I will never forget that. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I wish you all the best. God bless you. And I cannot let you leave without a gift of aloha. You don't have to wear it the whole night. It's kind of heavy.
And I actually forgot a dignitary in the crowd. So we have representatives from Congressman Kevin Mullen's office as well. So I want to recognize you all as well. Thank you, and apologies for missing that up front. So with that, well, there's a lot of comments to be made tonight, and so I feel like I'm going to save mine until the end. And so with that, I'll start to do public comments. And so for those who are wishing to address the board, speakers are customarily only given 2 minutes. And so we welcome your input and remarks, noting that we cannot respond back. And I know a lot of this is going to be towards Bernie anyway. And so 2 minutes only, and we will have a clock ticking, just again, because we want to make sure that everybody's voices are heard here this evening. And so with that, I am going to call on our incoming superintendent, Ms. McCulloch.
Good evening. Thank you, President Jordan and Board of Trustees, for providing us this opportunity to celebrate the retirement of our longstanding superintendent, Bernie Vidalis. As many of you know, I've worked alongside Bernie since he became superintendent in 2011. And without realizing it until he mentioned it at my appointment, I've been following his career path ever since. I have a huge amount of respect for Bernie and his leadership. He has helped me grow as a leader, and I will be forever grateful to have worked under his guidance. I have appreciated Bernie's leadership style, and he leads with a growth mindset. So you always knew it was safe to take a risk as a leader and for the betterment of our students in the district. His calm demeanor and quirky sense of humor made working with Bernie so enjoyable. I still chuckle when I recall his analogies that sound odd at first, but then he explained it. Oh, okay, I get it. I see it. But it always made me laugh. Bernie has laid the foundation for me and all of our colleagues to continue striving for growth in JESD. I will miss having him as a regular thought partner, daily thought partner, and promise to only bother him just a little bit in his retirement. So Bernie, I look forward to hearing what you have planned in your next chapter in your life, and I know it is going to be something creative and impactful. Congratulations.
The next person I'm going to call is on Ms. Garrett.
I feel like I was just here yesterday for another sad occasion, but a great occasion. I just want to briefly give my support and my gratefulness to Superintendent Vidalis for all his years of service. I'm grateful to have been, with him as a colleague, as a friend, spending time with him at conferences and getting to know him really well. His work has directly impacted my life and the life of my children, as of course my children also go to school in this district. And thank you for laying the foundation for them so that they're able to have the tools that they need for success. So I'm forever just grateful for that. And I definitely am looking forward to your next life and see what that looks like. And yes, definitely lots of rest. Hopefully will become of that. Oh, and also as a just a comment to the board, also with under Superintendent Vidalis' direction, thank you for raising the pride flag for next month. I really feel like it's very inclusive for all our student representation, and all students and children should be welcome in our school district regardless of their sexuality, their race, their color. Of course, as my children are biracial, I would also want them to feel included as well too in our school district. So thank you for that.
And the next person I'm going to call is Bo.
Good evening, everyone. I'm from Supervisor David Canepa's office. But before I begin, can I please have Bernie stand up? On behalf of San Mateo County Supervisor David Canepa's office, we want to recognize and applaud Bernie Vidalis for your exceptional dedication and outstanding service to the Jefferson Elementary School District. Your strong leadership, unwavering commitment, and tireless efforts have made a profound impact on the lives of students and families in your district. We sincerely applaud you and appreciate everything. So congratulations, Bernie.
Thank you. And the next person I'm going to call upon is Vice Mayor Manalo.
Good evening. I have a commendation here from the city of Daly City for Superintendent Bernie Vidalis. I won't read all the whereases, but I'll say some of them. Whereas Bernie Vidalis has been serving superintendent of Jefferson Elementary School District in Daly City since 2011. Whereas Mr. Vidalis holds a master's degree from Stanford University Graduate School of Education in Educational Administration and Public Policy, and was also awarded a bachelor's degree in Industrial Engineering from Stanford University. And whereas on June 30th, 2023, Mr. Vidalis will retire from his position as superintendent, serving over 15 years with the Jefferson Elementary School District. Now, therefore, the mayor, Ray Benaventura, and the members of City Council do hereby commend Bernie Vidalis for his many years of dedication, outstanding service to the JESD and the Daly City community, and congratulate you on your retirement. Best wishes for success on all your personal satisfaction and all your future endeavors. I want to personally say thank you to you as someone that went through the JESD district. I was able to see the Student of the Year reception and awardees just last week. And when I heard a lot of the young people say Stanford University, your alma mater, it just shows your leadership from the very top all the way down to the students and their success and their vision. And so thank you for all you've done. We wish you nothing but the best on your next endeavor, and hopefully you get to have some sun rays and beaches that you get to explore. Congratulations.
The next person I'm going to call upon is Director of Congressman Mullen, Ms. Karaja.
Thank you. Unfortunately, the congressman couldn't be here today because he's stuck in DC dealing with the debt ceiling. But I'm very happy to be here on his behalf, especially since I was once a student in this district as well at Westlake Elementary. And so I also have a lot of whereases here. You have a lot of accomplishments, but I'll just read a few here. Whereas Bernie Vidalis is being honored upon the conclusion of his 12-year tenure as superintendent of Jefferson Elementary School District in Daly City, California. Whereas Bernie Vidalis has skillfully guided the Jefferson Elementary School District, benefiting students, families, colleagues, teachers, and staff, and has demonstrated his commitment to education through tireless devotion and contributions. Therefore, the Honorable Kevin Mullen, Member of Congress of the 15th District, extends his warmest congratulations to Bernie Vidalis on his retirement and wishes for calm waters in the year ahead.
And the next person that I'm going to call upon is former President Koo.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. It's nice to see you all again here tonight. I'm here to express my thanks, but also to congratulate outgoing Superintendent and my friend, Mr. Bernie Vidalis, on his retirement and his many years service at JESD. The first time I actually met the Superintendent was before I actually joined the board. I was one of 7 individuals seeking to join the Board of Trustees. I didn't get selected that night, but Bernie reached out to stay in touch just in case I ever want to get involved in JESD in any other way possible. Coincidentally, 6 months later, a vacancy opened up. I ran for the position and reached out to Bernie to understand how to do the job. And fortunately, I was elected that fall as well, too. And along the way, I've learned from other trustees across California that I was very lucky to actually have a Bernie as my superintendent. He worked with me literally on the day after election results came out. I came to his office. We sat through onboarding in the district conference room for hours with the district staff to understand how to be a trustee and such. And he answered all my questions for months and months on that end. And over the course of 7 years, I've gotten to know him as our superintendent, as a community leader, as the veteran education leader he is in San Mateo County, and as a friend. I've seen him engage with students, parents, teachers, staff, board members, and superintendents all across our district and all across the state. And the best thing about Bernie is that once you get to know him, you can't stop talking to him because he's such a wealth of knowledge and insights and expertise. Bernie, you spent the last 12 years doing this job with grace, excellence, and passion. Thank you for all you've done for our district, and happy retirement as well. And lastly, I might go over, but lastly, 8 months ago, I attended my last board meeting, and Superintendent Vidalis shared his remarks of my service. He wore a blue and gold tie. It gave me excited "Go Bears." So I come back here tonight with a red tie to return the favor. I was tempted to say "Fear the tree" or "Give them the axe," but since Cal still has the axe, I'm going to finish about "Go Bears" instead. So I'm also wearing a blue golden bear just in case I ever forget my allegiance along the way too.
You forgot beat Cal.
It's okay. We won last year.
Superintendent Vidalis, you're not allowed to respond to the speakers.
So other than that, congratulations again, Bernie, and just want to wish you all the very best on retirement and years to come. Thank you.
Are there any other speakers that would like to make a comment at this time? Seeing as there's not, I am going to, I wrote a very long, it's like multiple pages here, but I'm going to try to also keep it to 2 minutes. Don't time me, no. So today we honor and recognize an exceptional leader who has dedicated their career to shaping and transforming our district. It is with mixed emotions, as I mentioned earlier, that we bid Superintendent Vidales farewell. And as you embark on this new journey of a well-deserved retirement, and as many people have said, hopefully that includes a lot of relaxation. In my time as a trustee, Superintendent Vidales has demonstrated unwavering commitment and passion and relentless pursuit to excellence in education. And I think former President Koo mentioned this when he got reached out to right after he was elected. And it's the same with me. The results weren't fully in, and you reached out and you said, it's fine, you've made it, let's start talking. And I was like, wait, are you sure? I don't know what's going on. And I felt that it was personal to me because I didn't know what I was stepping into. And then attending a few of the master's in governance classes, I realized that was not normal. There were other districts that they had not even met their superintendent or received an email yet. And so I felt very blessed and grateful for that. And so I thank you. Bernie has been a guiding force, leading our district with wisdom, vision, integrity, and under his leadership, our schools and community has gone through some of the toughest times, a global pandemic. And we've come out of that a stronger community and a stronger school district. And obviously that is because of your leadership during that time. Under your stewardship, our district has achieved remarkable milestones, and I think a fellow trustee had mentioned that earlier, from the renovations to some of our school sites, like TR Policita, our equity statement, ethnic studies, as well as groundbreaking on our workforce housing. These milestones are the foundations that our students and our staff needs for us to build upon and obviously prepare them for this ever-evolving world that we live in. Beyond your professional achievements, you are, and another trustee has also said this, you're a compassionate leader. You lead with emotional intelligence. You speak with radical candor, and that's something that we need. What you see is what you get, and I'm very grateful for that. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells around you, and that just shows the true testament of the leadership that you bring to our district every day. So you've shown me that leadership extends beyond the boardroom and into the lives of those that we serve. So, yes, we meet here, biweekly every 3 weeks. However, when I leave this room, I am still thinking about how I can make this district better. And a lot of that is due to just how you portray yourself every day, even outside of this boardroom. Coming to the end here, I know I'm out of the 2 minutes mark. So to Superintendent Vidales, on your next chapter, I hope it is filled with joy, relaxation, and new adventures. And know that your work has made a lasting difference, and you will always hold a special place in the hearts of our community. So thank you for your leadership, your dedication, and the legacy that you leave behind. We are forever grateful. And with that, we have a couple things from the trustees. I'm going to read the resolution that we're going to be giving you. So whereas the Jefferson Elementary School District wishes to acknowledge the 15 years of service performed by Bernie Vidales, and whereas Bernie was employed with the district on April 9th of 2008 as the Director of Curriculum and Instruction and Student Services and was appointed Superintendent of the Jefferson Elementary School District on July 1st of 2011. And whereas Bernie, as a Director of Curriculum and Instruction and Student Services, developed the instructional improvement plan for the district, which included expansion of math support for classroom teachers, hiring of literary coaches, and working with the math, literacy, and EL coordinators to effectively support and improve math and language literacy. And whereas Bernie demonstrated strong communication skills as shown in the instructional improvement plan that was well written and clearly communicated to the board and staff, which led to its unanimous approval. And whereas Bernie represented the district at community meetings such as the Planning Committee and City Council, promoting the district's efforts in regard to faculty and staff housing projects, providing public testimony for receiving Measure K funding, and participating in county work groups on building and expanding public Wi-Fi in Daly City. And whereas Bernie demonstrated a positive professional attitude and enthusiasm for meeting the needs of the students in the district and maintaining the responsibilities of the position as superintendent. And whereas Bernie has announced his retirement from the district effective June 30th, 2023, now therefore be it resolved that the governing board of the Jefferson Elementary School District does hereby commend Bernardo Bernie Vidales for his many years of service with the Jefferson Elementary School District and congratulate him on the occasion of his retirement. Bernie, you are amazing. Thank you again. Please come and get to this resolution. And let's give one last round of applause to Bernie. So with that, we're going to do a recess for
Don't
about...
I get to say a few words?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Sorry. No. So Bernie, now it's open to you.
Yeah, so I wrote this down just so that I don't forget anything that I wanted to say. But thanks to everybody who's made those nice comments tonight. I truly appreciate them. For 15 years, I've been coming to these meetings, 12 of those years as a superintendent. I can remember missing maybe 2 or 3 meetings in that time span. And I can also remember wishing I had missed several other meetings. During this time, I have served under 15 different school board members, each with a different perspective, life story, and motivation to make a difference for students in our community, but all of them, like you, committed to keep students at the center of our deliberations and decisions. It's been my privilege. I've learned so much from you and all of your predecessors, and I count it a blessing to call you among my friends. The board and the boards before, this board and the boards before have accomplished a lot during my tenure. Our district has passed 3 construction bonds, resulting in district-wide solar panel installations, a renovation and partial rebuild of one of our oldest and least physically accessible school sites in our district, made improvements in outdoor learning spaces, and improved school safety. We developed off-street student drop-off and pickup zones and initiated the faculty and staff housing development. We also passed the first parcel tax in Jefferson Elementary School District history that I'm aware of to protect the district from falling state revenues, supporting our core instruction, our library services, and expanding enrichment opportunities. And with that also came training of staff to develop and roll out the ethnic studies curriculum in middle school and in elementary school. This district is far from done with improvements and will have some renewed opportunities in the future to continue improving facilities and spaces, developing programs that support learning with local and not just state revenue. And I encourage you, Fourth, to keep doing the same as you've done. This tie that I'm wearing tonight, under my lei, this tie, I wore on the first day of school when I first became a school principal. I haven't worn it for a decade and a half, at least. But I kept it in my closet and it's never gone to the Salvation Army or Goodwill because it's a tie, because it means so much. If you look closely at it, it contains what I'm calling marks of service that even the dry cleaner can't get out. Each mark can represent an exploding milk carton, ketchup squirting, spilled coffee, maybe even some blood or tears. Not mine. And various other substances encountered on a school site that mark our clothing, mark our hearts and our souls as we serve our students. I wear it today on the night of my final board meeting as presiding superintendent, as a commemoration of the 26 years of service in school and district administration. Not done. So here's the fun part. Many of us might be familiar with the Apple series Ted Lasso. The character Danny Rojas. If you're not, I highly recommend you watch it. That's season 3, it's the best one. One of Danny Rojas's favorite and regular lines is, "Football is life." He shouts it with joyful exuberance, and he demonstrates it with the same whenever he's on the pitch. Personally, I'm not much of a soccer player, though being Mexican, it's often expected of me. Yet, I just could never get myself to play a game where I had to use my head to hit a ball. Not to mention my woeful inability to dribble a ball downfield. So similar to Danny Rojas, my phrase is, learning is life. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity I've had to create spaces and condition where learning occurs, where students get the skills and knowledge they need to identify future opportunities and become the next generation of leaders, where I've been able to support educators that truly make learning life for our students. I've often said that our classrooms are the perfect space to learn across, with, and from differences. Education is key to a strong future, and the students in Jefferson Elementary School District learn and practice their skills navigating diversity in ways that other school districts cannot provide because they lack the diversity represented in our area. I've enjoyed my years in the educational soccer pitch, bonking my head against hard objects, making risky moves, assisting others to shine, and ultimately scoring goals for our students. Learning is life. So as I bid farewell to Jefferson Elementary School District as a superintendent, I do not say goodbye as a friend or a partner. I will remain close by and wait to make my next contribution to the field from a new capacity and perspective. I leave the district in the capable hands of a distinguished board and experienced leadership of a CEO like Sandy McCulloch. I'm certain you'll continue to accomplish much. Thank you for the opportunity.
And now we'll get to talk to you outside and look at that tie a little closer. So we're going to, so now we're going to do a recess. It'll be about 15 minutes, and then we will reconvene at about 7:55. Perfect. The next item on the agenda is communications, board member acknowledgements and commendations. I'm going to start on my right-hand side this time.
I just want to, again, just continue to celebrate the great work that we've been absolutely privileged to create in the space that we've been able to share with Superintendent Vidalis these past years. And I just want to say thank you again. You made me think of the first time I had met Superintendent Vidalis, President Jordan, as well as our former President Koo, just how welcoming you are and the onboarding piece. And so I want to bring that up again because I look forward to us continuing to be welcoming, and not just to our board members, but to everyone that continues to come into our community. And that is something that I will always remember and treasure about you, Bernie. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say that some of our board members, I know for me that I have been flooded with text messages. I want to just remind the public and our parents that your communication does not fall on deaf ears. The protocol is when we do receive information, messages, that we have to route it to the superintendent. We don't share them out publicly here, and I'm hoping that you're hearing this evening, because a few parents did say, will you be sharing my communication during tonight's meeting? So I just want to make it clear that a lot of the information that we receive, we do have to route it to the superintendent. But I do want you to know, because some of it is sensitive information that we cannot share here, but it will be routed back to ensure that the public is hearing what we're hearing. But it does have to be routed so that we can do our due diligence to ensure that it's a collective conversation and the public can hear what we have received. So I did want to share that this evening. Lastly, there are still some great events that are happening in the county in celebration of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Month. And I just want to say thank you to many of our schools, some of the parents who've shared pictures as well, to share that they are also celebrating all of communities who many times, like mine, Pacific Islanders and our Southeast Asian communities, have not been included. I've never had that happen before, but some of the parents in our district from Woodrow Wilson and Garden Village were very intentional in sharing that they were celebrating these communities that they never see celebrated during this month. So I wanted to make sure I shared that out, and I want to continue to wish all of our teachers well as we close out this school year, and to our students and families that are already celebrating many graduations. Just want to congratulate all of the families that are able to do that and celebrating their students. So thank you again for the great work that is happening in our district.
Okay. Yeah, it feels like a real treat to get to attend tonight and hear the touching tributes to Superintendent Vidalis from my fellow trustees, former trustees, dignitaries, members of the public. So I just want to again thank you, Superintendent, for your service. And yeah, my new trustees brought up for me and other trustees how just after getting elected, you feel like you don't know what you're doing, and you were there to just train me at the beginning. So I really do appreciate that. And again, congratulations. And I want to say congratulations to Woodrow Wilson on a successful community fair that I was grateful to attend this past Saturday. Great to see events like this, popping up around the district to get families more engaged with our schools, give PTAs an opportunity to fundraise. And I want to echo what my fellow trustee said of congratulations to the graduating students and families at this time. Thank you.
All right. Well, congratulations, Superintendent Vidalis. Congratulations to those students. Also, I wanted to congratulate the Student of the Year and that great ceremony that was put on. I unfortunately was not able to attend, but I wanted to just to acknowledge that. I also want to acknowledge great job to the middle schools who had their open houses this last Thursday, I believe. I could not attend as well because I had my own middle school open house at the same date and time. So Congratulations to that. And then also, I want to wish, or I should say, break a leg to the dance show that is currently going on right now as we speak. I look forward to attending tomorrow night after the elementary open houses.
And in an effort to keep our comments concise, my fellow trustees have already covered most of it, and so I'm going to save my comments till the end. And with that, I'm going to move to superintendent comments.
I have no additional comments. Everyone's made the announcements for all the events that are upcoming. It is a busy May, and you always remember to take a deep breath at the beginning and you exhale around June 1st, June 2nd, and it slows down significantly. So.
Thank you. So we're going to be moving into general functions, the consent agenda. We're going to be removing item 11C from consent. That was an oversight. With that amendment, are there any other comments or amendments? If not, I will take a motion.
I motion to approve.
Second.
There is a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 That was unanimous. Moving to item 10B, the elementary school science textbook adoption. The selection of these instructional materials is a result of an elementary school selection committee guided by the Educational Services Department, reviewing available curriculums, applying a district lens to materials, piloting 2 different curriculums, and incorporating community input. The administration recommends adoption of the following science instructional materials: TWIG Science, TK through 5th grade by TWIG Education. This will be presented by Ms. Pace and members of the adoption committee.
Great, thank you. Come on up, committee. Good evening. My name is Jessica Pace, and I'm the Program Director for Teaching and Learning. And with me tonight are many of the members from our JESD Elementary Science Committee: Christina Biondini, Elisa Grassi, Morgan Dawes, Pam Radke, Jasmine Valdalitos, and I think I got everybody. Great. How do I move it forward? There we go. Okay. This committee is made up of classroom teacher representatives from each of our elementary schools. We have an RSP teacher, an elementary principal, and an ELD teacher. We are here this evening to make a recommendation to you, our Board of Trustees, for the adoption of a new TK-5 science program, TWIG. Our committee was formed back in September. We had our first kickoff meetings in October. We worked closely with Jerome Marcus from the San Mateo County Office of Education, and through his guidance and expertise, he helped us develop our district lens and our initial materials evaluation tool. We prioritized meeting the needs of English learners, strategies for differentiating instruction, having a cohesive TK through 5th grade scope and sequence, making connections to the real world for our content, and having hands-on and engaging lessons for our students. With this district lens, the committee evaluated all 12 of the California state-approved materials. The committee narrowed that list down to 5 programs that they felt were worthy of further review. We then invited the 5 publishers to do presentations on these programs, and using an evaluation tool, the committee selected 2 programs for us to then pilot. Between January through May, the committee members were trained in each of these 2 programs and taught a unit from each program. They completed evaluations along the way, and on May 11th, our committee gathered to look at the evaluation data, share experiences from their students, and they unanimously agreed to recommend the program TWIG as our new TK-5 science for the 2023-2024 school year. I'll pass it over to some of our committee members to share their experiences.
Hi, I'm Lisa Grassi, and I teach 1st grade at FDR, and we are depicted here doing some shadow puppets. And the children really enjoyed having an experiential time where they learned about light and shadow, and all the materials were included in the unit. So that was definitely a plus for teachers. And the children also really enjoyed having a hands-on type of experience. I also noticed that they were quite challenged by the activity because it also was a group activity that every person had to have a role. So it wasn't just fun, it was also challenging and very educational. So they really enjoyed this activity.
I'm Pamela Radke. I teach third grade at MP Brown, and I did a unit on forces for my third grade students, and they really enjoyed it. I think the program's very good. It ticks off all the boxes. It included book work, hands-on work, and it was very engaging. The students really came away with a lot and created their own experiments.
We also have some examples from our Thomas Edison fifth graders. They did a unit called the H2O response team, where they learned about water. And some of the quotes from our fifth graders: "Can we do this kind of stuff all year? And there's so much water on Earth," were some of our highlights of their learning. We also had a forces unit at JFK, and from Doc's class, one of her students, Emily, said, "It really helped me to understand how energy can transfer." And here is an example from Woodrow Wilson Kindergarten, where they're doing forces in motion with marbles.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jazz Valdivinos. I taught Forces in Motion for the kindergarten class. I'm the ELD teacher there. And one thing I really appreciated about this program was the collaborative learning part in the piece where they got to engage in the language. And I think that's very important for our ELD learners. So definitely a plus for me.
So some of our highlights that were mentioned and maybe haven't been mentioned, we love that the labs come fully stocked with all of the materials that students will need, and enough materials for all students to have a hands-on experiment. Teachers loved the fact that the lessons were easy to follow, and also that there was a lot of flexibility in the pacing. They loved the fact that there were real-world connections for students, particularly linking back to California. Oftentimes when we were looking at water sources in a fifth grade class, we were looking at San Jose and seeing water that was happening there and how it relates to the Santa Cruz beach area. And so kids could really relate to the content because it was right here in California. We loved the strong student engagement. There were lots of opportunities for hands-on and also opportunities for students to interact with one another and ask and answer questions. And then in terms of the technology, the platform was really well organized, easy to follow, and had a lot of interesting videos and simulations for students to be able to experience things that maybe you couldn't bring into the classroom, but were accessible to students through those resources. And let me show you a little video.
Students across California have begun an adventure with Twig Science that will change their lives.
Oh dear.
Twig Science is the only program built from scratch to deliver the California NGSS. So no wonder we're the #1 program in California. Twig Science prepares your students for the California Science Test with assessments created by Stanford's Scale team. But most important, Twig Science prepares your students for STEM careers. Throughout the program, students take on over 30 STEM roles. They'll be chemists, astronomers, and coastal engineers. They'll go from working with a Hollywood special effects department to mapping real-life earthquakes as they happen all over the world. They'll engage with scientists and engineers from all walks of life, doing work they can relate to. No program provides better access and equity for the diverse population of California than Twig Science. Twig Science en Español is a complete program for bilingual and dual immersion classrooms. And there are additional multilingual films in Mandarin, with social and emotional learning threaded throughout. Every student can successfully collaborate to deliver STEM projects they are truly proud of. And experience aha moments they'll never forget.
Great, and I just want to take this opportunity to thank our amazing science committee, those members who are here with us this evening, as well as those members who were not able to make it here. This is a truly dedicated group of educators who spent a lot of time really sifting through 12 different programs to come and land on a program that they feel most confident will really best serve our students in Jefferson. So let's give them a warm round of applause. Thank you. Great, and that concludes our presentation. Are there any questions or?
Thank you, Ms. Pace. Fellow trustees, are there any questions or comments?
I don't have questions, but I'm going to share that I get a little biased when I see Ms. Pace step up because I've always seen her deliver for year after year when she steps up to share some of the happenings in our district. So I'm not surprised that the team that you bring forth are doing incredible work. And that's a lot of work from the time that you started and then say touching all of those different, programs and getting from 12 to 5. And the time frame, I want to commend you because I think the highlight for me is hearing the feedback from the students, which means the investment and the time that you poured in obviously developed the outcome through the feedback that you received from the students. So bravo, thank you so much. I love that we're able to offer this here. Thank you.
I have two questions. So first of all, well done. This looks tremendous. I think it would be a real boost for our district. My first question is, this may be more for the district, but what strategies can we take to make sure that we can fit all of this in? When I have spoken with my kids' teachers, sometimes they've remarked that they have barely had time for the hands-on, type of work, and there's so much in the school day. And it seems like there's a lot here that we could potentially work into, integrate with other lessons, teach holistically. Even that would be exciting for kids to do in after-school programs, say. But I'm just curious if we're going to be able to fit this all in.
I'll defer to Ms. Pace on that. There will be guidance at minimum of how it might fit in. We haven't had a strong science program for many years. And so many of our classrooms are not used to figuring out ways to fit science instruction. It gets in there, but a hands-on science one, we don't have that experience. So I think, and maybe Ms. Pace and some of the piloters may speak to this, when you get to see your students engaged as they appeared to be and involved and learning, you're sort of motivated to make time for that because otherwise they will just be twiddling their thumbs or like not as engaged. So I don't know, Ms. Pace or any of your piloters wish to respond to that?
Yeah, I'll speak to it. The pacing, there are two pacing. There's the full program, and then there are two options for shorter programs that pull out some lessons that perhaps are not absolutely essential. But it's also an integrated program. So there's a reading component. There are mathematics embedded in that. So, some of that time can be rearranged. I personally cut short my math time just a little bit and really bumped up the transition so that I could move right from my math into the science, and it worked. So.
And I'd like to also mention that because it's an integrated program, I was able to do a lot of it also in language arts time. They have trade books where we have story time, really good stories that go with the topics. There's a lot of writing and working together. So when we did our shadow puppets, we also had to write the stories of the shadow puppets. We had to communicate. We had to work together, divide teams. All those things are just good skills in general, but also are really helpful in developing some of the regular skills that they need in school.
And I'll say one final thing. Our language arts program, Benchmark Advance, has a crossroads document with TWIG to talk about where all of those connections are in the program. So I think as we begin to get more confident with TWIG and how the components work, we'll be able to really find places to do that integration. But we loved the flexibility of the multiple pacing. It really calls out for you which lessons are key. And also the kits with the material are prepped very nicely for teachers, and we'll be reconsuming those kits each year so that the preparation for at least some of the experiments might not take as much teacher time to get organized as past programs when you're finding something on the internet and you're pulling all of those pieces together. It comes in a nice kit for teachers. So yeah, but more to learn on it in June and in August. Teachers will have an opportunity to come out and have their first training on the program. And then throughout the course of the next couple of years, we'll do follow-up training sessions to work on areas that teachers would like to get better at.
Thank you. That sounds very encouraging. And just one other question, and that's how about middle school? When are they due to look at curriculum? Can they benefit from the work that you've done here?
We already have adopted a new science material in the middle schools back in 2020. So we were way ahead of the game. All of our middle school curriculum has been newly adopted within the last couple of years.
Thank you. Still new.
I mean, I'll just say what people have, I think, have already said. I mean, if there's staff buy-in and the students are engaged, sounds good to me.
So you're the reason why my child has come home and told me that I needed to buy things so that they can do experiments in my dining room. So that's fun. Thank you. No, this is really good. And to your point, I've seen my own child being very engaged. I've actually spent the last 2 nights doing random experiments. And I think some of it is because of the curriculum that she's receiving in our district. And so I'm very proud not only to serve on this board, to also have my child experience what we're implementing in our district. And so I want to commend all of you for your hard work in the pilot program. And then I have questions, or maybe one question is, what is the cost associated with this? And since we have not had this as a part of our curriculum, I guess, did we plan for this, or were we looking into this for a long time? And what does that look like from a budget standpoint? Where is that coming from?
Yeah, so we have set aside funds in prior years for us to be able to take on these new adoptions ongoing. It'll come from a special fund that we have within the district, and it won't be in our typical operating budget year over year, but we do have a fund set aside for this adoption as well as future adoptions. So it definitely fits within our budget. We are in the business department are always supportive of the curriculum side of the house and trying to make things like this happen, right? So thankfully, the prior CBO and the administration under Superintendent Vidalis's leadership had planned ahead and set aside funds for these type of purchases.
Only other question I have is, so I know we're adopting the textbook, but when I saw the video, there was like certain materials that come along with it. Is that included in this, or is that separate?
Yes, all of those components are included in the program. There's a consumable work text for students. It's not a hard copy, hardcover textbook anymore. It's soft where kids can write in and they own that piece. And then all of the manipulatives, there's leveled books as some of the teachers were talking about that link into our language arts program, but all of the components we're purchasing.
Perfect. Oh, actually, sorry, last question. So I know we already adopted the middle school curriculum for science. How have we how is this integrating in? So like once we move them out of elementary and into middle, are the programs so different that they are learning something new and they're doing something different, or is it a quick and easy transition from elementary to middle?
Well, both programs are now going to be aligned to the next generation science standards, which our current program that we've been using, which is from 2007, is not aligned to those standards. So immediately we're going to have, a nice correlation between our TK through 5th grade program. That was one of our lenses that we looked at. We wanted to make sure that it was a really cohesive scope and sequence, and then that will lend itself to, as 5th graders transition to our middle school for the program that is already in place.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, maybe I do have one last question. Sorry. How do we plan on measuring the success of this program? And should we see any maybe issues? What is our plan to mitigate that?
There is a comprehensive assessment system that comes with this program out of Stanford, the SCALE program. We had a slight chance to dabble with it. A few of the teachers here gave some of those assessments. They do align to the state of California science test, as well as they assess pre-knowledge, post-knowledge, and unit types of tests. But that is definitely going to be an area that we're going to need to explore and get better at, so that we know what resources are there and what kind of data is going to help us move our students forward.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate you answering all of my millions of questions. I think the only ask that I then have for our incoming superintendent is maybe a year from now, as we've had this kind of ongoing consistently, to come back and give us an update on how that's doing. It sounds like it's going to be amazing, but I think when you measure something, you're really able to determine how successful it is. And so I just want to make sure that when we made the decision in 2023, that it was a decision for this ever-evolving world that we're living in. So awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Pace, and all the committee members. You guys have done a great job. Thank you again. We're going to this is an action item. So if there are no further comments or questions from fellow trustees, I will entertain a motion.
I motion to approve.
Second.
There's a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Moving on to the Local Control Accountability Plan, the LCAP. Ms. Scott, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, will provide an update.
All right, good evening. I am here tonight to provide you with an update for next year's LCAP. So the Local Control Accountability Plan is a living document that is rewritten every 3 years. Our current plan was developed during the 2020-2021 school year. We are currently completing our second year measuring progress towards these goals. Next year is the last year of the 3-year cycle, and next year we will also develop a new LCAP with revised goals, metrics, and actions. So just as a reminder, this year our Ed Services team has presented here in this room on 5 separate occasions regarding the metrics collected for each LCAP goal, and all of our presentations are linked. So the input gathered from all of these interactions that you see in front of you on this slide have guided our LCAP updates. So the purpose of our presentation is to provide the board with an update on any LCAP revisions for the 2023-24 school year. For this upcoming year, as it is our final year to measure progress towards these goals, while also developing a new LCAP for the next 3 years, our adjustments are minimal. We have only 3 proposed updates for our LCAP. So goal number 1 is to prepare students to pursue college or a career once they graduate from high school. A few of the accomplishments from this year include articulated clearly and frequently our 3 district priorities: universal design for learning, UDL, ELD strategies, and collaborative teams. These 3 priorities were a focus of every administrator and staff meeting this year. Administered curriculum-based assessments in ELA, grades 3 through 8 in fall and spring, and administrators supported teachers with their analysis of the data by highlighting which instructional units supported assessment standards with lower achievement. Supported our middle school math teachers with access to the CASP math interim assessments, which has helped provide feedback to staff on student achievement. Purchase materials for makerspaces for each middle school to be available for use next year. So our updated actions for goal 1, we have 1 revised action. We have included the language of STEAM teachers for our middle school electives. The goal is to continue to enhance our elective offerings in our middle schools so that students have the opportunity to engage in applied science, technology, engineering, art, and math lessons through real-world connections. And some examples of classes include environmental literacy, robotics, coding, esports, and financial literacy. So our goal is to hire a specific STEAM teacher for each of the 3 middle schools, if possible. If not, funds will be used to continue to support materials for those classes. And then a new action is hiring of 8 new MTSS specialist teachers to support our elementary schools. They will provide direct instruction with small groups and individual students to support academic, SEL, and behavioral interventions. They'll support classroom teachers on best practices for Tier 1 instruction and Tier 2 intervention through the use of a co-teaching model, and facilitate high-quality professional development for teachers on intervention delivery, instructional design, and other MTSS processes. Goal number 2 is to improve the academic success of our English learners. So a few accomplishments from this year include targeted instructional grouping occurs daily at the elementary school level to address EL needs. Focused monthly ELD collaborative team meetings on instructional strategies, data analysis, and lesson development. Provided ongoing PD for all staff on both designated and integrated ELD curriculums. Utilized ongoing feedback cycles using elevation and systematic ELD, integrated ELD strategies to improve instruction. And we restructured middle school ELD support classes so that all ELD, including newcomer students, have full access to all core and elective options, a legal requirement identified during last year's federal program monitoring. So updates for this goal is 1 revised action, which was our program director of assessment, accountability, and multilingual students. This new position, which is Ms. Conti, will support school site practices on data collection to ensure that students are receiving timely and appropriate evidence-based interventions, provide engaging professional development and coaching to district leaders, school leadership teams, and classroom teachers on data analysis and instructional strategies to best achieve movement across all MTSS tiers, and plan, develop, facilitate, and/or conduct workshops for teachers, administrators, classified staff, parents, and provide other instructional support services focusing on student success. Goal number 3 is to provide ongoing professional learning for all staff. So a few accomplishments from this year include scheduled 4 2-hour collaboration sessions for our newly formed district collaborative teacher teams. While meeting agendas were aligned to 3 district priorities, team leaders were provided autonomy to develop their agendas based on the needs of their teams. Integrated UDL guidelines through all team meetings district administrative teams, school site leadership teams, staff meetings, and collaborative teacher teams. And we adjusted our 2 institute days to include time for collaborative teamwork. There are no additional metrics or actions for this goal. Goal number 4, to increase customer satisfaction with respect to climate, safety, and schools. A few accomplishments from this year include contracted and delivered mental health services at 8 elementary school sites, funded school counselor positions to ensure a comprehensive school counseling program at 14 school sites, remained grounded in restorative practices through the use of community circles, and restorative conferences, and we continue to upgrade our facilities and grounds. And there are no additional metrics or actions for this goal. And goal number 5, to develop opportunities to bring the community together in support of our students and their success. And a few accomplishments from this year includes established 3 parent affinity groups, Spanish-speaking families, LGBTQ+, and African-American families. Hosted parent education events around the topics of self-care, community resources, impacts of technology on the adolescent and young children, immigration resource night, and monthly parent cafes. Continued our weekly district newsletter to all staff from the Ed Services Department, provided ongoing translation services to all sites through Language Link and Communicate, and translated surveys were sent to all families to gather a broad level of feedback on district goals. And there are no additional metrics or actions for this goal. So next steps in the process, we will have a public hearing on June 14th, and then adoption of our LCAP update is on June 28th, and it needs to be submitted to San Mateo County Office of Ed by June 30th. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Scott. And so, fellow trustees, as we've done in previous ones, when we have multiple questions or comments, we'll go one person and then go back around. And so if there are any comments or questions, I will start on my left-hand side.
As always, when you start on your left-hand side, I don't have any questions or comments at this time.
All right, I'll make up for that. So I had a question about LCAP goal number 1. Excuse me. It sounded like you said the MTSS specialists. You mentioned something about they were going to be doing their support through a co-teaching model. So are the MTSS specialists going to have special ed credentials, or, okay, can you explain?
Sure. The goal is for them to provide services in the classroom rather than pull students out. So working in collaboration with the classroom teacher in that room so that they can pull small groups in that classroom during instruction.
Okay, so you have under goal number 1, hiring 3 STEAM teachers for the middle schools. Great, but we have middle school at 4 sites. And so I'm assuming that FDR might be the site left out since it's the smallest middle school. So I would like to know if part of the plan is to provide this resource at that site, at all sites.
So FDR has additional staffing in which to work with to provide additional STEAM opportunities and classes for their students. They're also being provided with materials per makerspace.
So what she said is FDR is already overstaffed, so they have the ability to do this. The other schools have been staffed according to their enrollment, but because FDR is so small, we've needed to overstaff them so they can offer a program. So we're working with FDR to be able to make more STEAM offerings with the staff that they have available.
Just follow-up question, is part of the staff resource that they have trained specifically in this area in STEAM? I know we have science resource, but are they trained in the same way under this program?
So currently we're hoping to hire these STEAM teachers. and then provide training. They need to have the specific credential, typically a science credential, in order to teach many of these classes. And then working collectively as a district with those teachers on the classes that they choose to teach. So it really is somewhat dependent on who we hire, what credential they have. STEAM encompasses art and math, engineering, right? And so depending on who we can find to fill those positions will determine what elective they teach and then what support they need. Ideally, we have an elective, well, we currently have an elective collaborative team that have also come together throughout the year to provide support to one another. A lot of the materials as well come with curriculum guides. So that's another resource that teachers can use.
I don't have any questions. I appreciated seeing the accomplishments, the overview on goal number 4. I appreciated seeing the 8 elementary school sites having mental health services. I look forward to hearing some of the feedback at future meetings of how that's been received by the staff, the sites, and especially the students. Thank you, Ms. Scott.
What should we be bragging about in terms
All
of
of the hard work on behalf of all of the staff. I think we've had a lot of accomplishments this year. I feel most proud about our district collaborative teams. We met today, our 6th grade humanities team had a release day, and we're able to come together and start to look at how to integrate those 2 content areas. They're coming back tomorrow to look at how to layer in the ethnic studies curriculum that our staff have developed so that all students have access to that curriculum. I think we really have drilled down on universal design for learning across all of our schools with support from our administrative team, and we're starting to see that work appear in our classrooms, which is exciting. The recent survey, we've done surveys around professional learning. Our administrators recently did empathy interviews as well as another way to collect data. And a lot of the feedback we collected is around really next year spending time diving even deeper into UDL and providing opportunities when during staff meeting times or collaborative times to really plan those lessons, use our curriculum materials and adapt them to the UDL guidelines. I think that's exciting. Yeah, I could go on and on. We've worked hard.
Trustee Rochfeld, do you have any other questions?
Just final question. What does the process of setting up a new LCAP look like? I know we'll hear a lot more about it, but I'm just curious, like, when does it start in the next school year?
It's a good question because I haven't done that process yet. So it'll be brand new to me. But I'm so thankful because our incoming superintendent, Sandy McCulloch, has a lot of wealth and experience with LCAP and its former iterations. So I know that it's a year-long process, involves all stakeholders in developing the goals and looking at the metrics and coming up with actions. And I think, we're able to use our current plan as a bridge to our next one, see what was working and where we need to stretch.
It's a 2-part question. Okay, what was the biggest challenge with the LCAP, and then how can we better support you?
Biggest challenge with the LCAP. I don't know what the biggest challenge is.
Probably one of the challenges is, and we're experiencing it now with the MTSS teachers, is staffing. We have the money in a lot of respects, but we are unable to find the staff to do the work that we need done. So, we have our English language development support teachers not filled at all of our sites. I imagine our STEAM teachers in the middle school may not all be filled. I mean, those are tough subjects to fill. So, That's probably one of the biggest staff, I mean, the challenge, and it goes to all of our positions, custodians and lunch producers and our aides. So, in each of our positions, it's been hard to staff in the current employment market.
Not a two-part question? Okay. Okay.
It was how can we better help or support?
So
I think
two-part answer, yeah.
one area that we notice across our system is low parent engagement. I am excited about the development of our 3 parent affinity groups. So a shout out to Roxanne and Liz at SBA and Westlake, because they have been instrumental in helping to get the 3 off the ground. So just, I think any way you can encourage families to lean in and provide us with that feedback and engagement piece would be helpful.
For that. Okay, so I know we have the grant for community schools, so I think that could be a good way to help shore up the parent engagement. Just that's it.
You kind of answered some of the question because I was going to ask about the affinity groups, and I think that's still getting established. I would like to hear, as it's more ongoing, what's happening, what the attendance is looking like. I know I attended one of the first ones we did, and we had a good attendance because it was on Zoom. And so understanding, are we doing it a hybrid model to encourage people to obviously attend? Because I know, again, it's still hard for people to leave their work day and attend a meeting. And then another, well, this is not a question, but more of like a comment when you talked about ethnic studies and trying to get that to be across. I would like to get an update on that as well. Obviously, as it gets off the ground, I know you guys are still in the beginning stages of that. And then obviously, just thank you, Ms. Scott. I know that this is a lot of hard work. And I know last year when you did an LCAP presentation, I was very much, I was like, no. And so I appreciate your thoroughness, all the information that you've provided, and I'll hold the hard questions for when we receive the LCAP actually updates.
Sounds good.
Thank you again. Is there any other questions? All right, I believe that was just an information item, so thank you again, Ms. Scott. And I need those. Yeah, I got it. And I actually need this for the next item we have on our agenda. So we're moving on to item 11C, Contracted Services Agreement, IXL. So this is an action item. The administration recommends approval of a contract with IXL Learning to provide K-8 math licenses for online personalized math supports to all elementary sites. This was one that was tabled from our previous board meeting, and we had requested additional information, so I'm assuming that's what's been provided here. We also have some speakers on this item, so as a board, I would like to actually take the speakers first, and then we can deliberate and then go from there. And so with that, I would like to call on, and apologies if I pronounce your name incorrectly. This is Jamal McGanum. McGanum. Okay, perfect. I didn't mess that up too badly. Please step up to the podium. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak. Please, we welcome your input and your remarks. Please address the board only on this item, and you have 2 minutes to speak.
Will do. Hi. I'm Jamal Muganam, and I'm one of the math teachers at Fernando Rivera School, and I've been at Fernando for over 2 decades. So I've had a lot of opportunity to use a variety of tools and materials to help our students. Of course, we use our adopted textbook, CMP3 Math, as the core and basis of our instruction and our curriculum. In addition to that, we have used in the past online programs such as Freckle and MobiMax. And just this year, I was introduced by my colleagues at Fernando, Ben, and other colleagues who attended the math collaboration, the release day that we had, to a program called IXL. So I like to check out new things and learn how to teach and learn better and be more effective for my students. So I started using IXL in February of this year. And I have found it, honestly, as a supplement to our book and as an opportunity for students to practice their skills, a fabulous tool. Okay, I also want to make it clear that programs like IXL do not make up the core of our instruction. The CMP3 book does a good job of giving investigations, inquiries, and using real life material to deliver our math instruction. But IXL really gives students the opportunity to develop their skills. So you can teach kids have them attain a conceptual understanding of, for example, proportional relationships, okay? But within proportional relationships, the kids have to have sufficient procedural mechanical skills. So they really go together. And in closing, I would say that IXL is an excellent program to provide that.
Thank you. And perfect timing.
Thanks.
And with that, I had another. Oh, here we go. I am also going to call upon Ms. Hanson.
That's my packet. But I only have it on a computer, so.
Oh, perfect.
Hi, Annette Hansen. Been teaching sixth grade for 24 years here in this district. These slides represent a snapshot of the impact of IXL platform for math. At my site, it was used less than 2 years at Ben Franklin Intermediate. We first implemented it in a few months between November and February of last year, 2022. But even in this short time, it became apparent that this was a tool that filled a long-standing need for standards-based practice math platform for middle school. I think we have some from elementary, but not for middle. So it's really versatile. It's a lot more than practice. It is formative assessment, normative assessment. It groups students. It pushes out reports, it makes recommendations, it keeps them constantly updated with their own diagnostics. They're always aware of their own level. If you flip the page, I'm now on IXL data. So here's how some of the data looks. So there's some snapshots there. I couldn't do a slideshow with you, so Pam printed these out for you. What you're looking at is 3 slides of typical growth, keeping in mind that a score of 100 plus positive 100 is approximately 1 school year of growth. That was just 3 separate cohorts. There are some implications for cohorts that were primarily LPAC 2 and LPAC 3 level, a much starker learning curve. That data on that graph that says LPAC 2 and LPAC 3, that's only about 2 months worth of recorded progress at 80. So you can imagine that would be much more if they started along with all the other students. I've included a letter from our RSP teacher who has observed some, wildly encouraging results from her RSP students who love this platform. They experience a sense of control and build confidence. She sees their attitudes towards math changing, and there's some other stuff in there for you to read, and some certificates. 1,800 hours of math practice, 180,000 is probably closer to 200,000 by now, math questions, thousands of 6th grade math skills. There's some data here, sorry, I know I've gone over, there's some data here about how personally at our site, we reached historic highs using this, and I don't attribute it entirely to this program, but it is rigorous. We do other things, but we have shrunken our level 1 numbers, and we have increased our exceeding and meeting, and like I said, marginally higher than the state standards right now, and we've exceeded pre-pandemic numbers as well.
Thank you, Ms.
since we've
Hanson.
used it.
Really appreciate the time and the effort for pulling that data together
it's
for
like
us.
Like right after school.
Thank you. Are there any additional speakers on this item? If there is not, public comment is closed now on this item. Are there any questions or comments from fellow trustees?
So yeah, so I think I'm the one who raised the question at the last board meeting about IXL. Thank you, both of our speakers, Mr. McGanum and Ms. Hanson. Ms. Hanson, you provided a lot of the data that I was looking for from the last meeting. And then honestly, if I had known Mr. McGanum was in support of this, I think I would have been in support from the start. Just knowing him and his years of experience and getting to work with him and his students, hearing all of his students, what he says about it, if he supports this program, then so do I.
Remember, we're not supposed to respond to.
My apologies.
Are there any other questions or comments? But I do echo your sentiments. I really do appreciate the speakers that came in tonight. And with that, I will entertain a motion.
I motion to approve.
Second.
There's a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Motion approved. Moving on to item 11H, update on the May revision of the state budget. Assistant Superintendent Lauro will help us with this presentation.
Good evening. It's been a long evening, so I'm going to try to be concise, clear, and there's a lot of information, and a lot to digest, lots of uncertainty. So yeah, we'll jump right in. So for the general public and for the Board of Trustees, the May revision is our next lens into the development of the 23-24 fiscal year, our school budget. We utilize a lot of data from this proposal that differs from the January proposal in developing our budget. And we're going to start off with the macro environment, what the economy looks like in the United States, boil it down to the state level, as well another level into the local level here at Jefferson Elementary School District. So the U.S. economy, one bullet point here that I failed to list was the debt ceiling and whether or not that's going to be passed, which can have huge implications. As you guys know from my January governor's proposal presentation, there's a lot of fluctuation in the stock market. Some positive things that the CPI, or Consumer Price Index, is decreased to 4.9%, which is a good thing, still high over the 2 to 3% that the Federal Reserve is looking at. Other big things that we're also looking at are in the greater economy is the banking sector. As you know, Silicon Valley Bank and other banks have failed recently throughout this year. So these local regional banks do a lot of lending in the local areas that they serve. And so these are definitely big impacts to the economy. Most economists think that a mild recession will occur in 23-24. You know, the sky's always falling. Sometimes it doesn't, but when it does, you know, we want to be prepared. I had looked at the presentation before and it looked fine, but the top's cut off. So this is the state economy. A few bullet points I want to recognize here is that from the January governor's proposal to the May revision, there's an additional $9.5 billion coming to a total of $31.5 billion in deficit for the state budget. Other things to highlight is there are major vacancies in commercial real estate. In San Francisco alone from 2019 to 2023, there's been a 218% increase in vacancies in the office buildings downtown. Okay, $2.9 trillion in mortgages are due in the next 2 years. And with interest rates rising, refinancing those mortgages are going to be costly if they have nobody inside those buildings. Other things to note, there's been a lot of migration trends in California. There's been a net loss of higher income residents in the state versus median to lower income residents in the state. Because we have a progressive tax policy here in California, 50% of state income tax is paid by 1% of Californians. Personal income taxes are 62% of state revenues. This year, they've deferred the tax collections from April 2023 to October 2023. So it's definitely clouded the assumptions and the proposer, what's the word? foreseeable taxes that they're going to collect, right? So that's adding to this deficit. Personal income tax, which is 62% of our state revenues, is down $8.4 billion. Other things to note, there hasn't been many initial public offerings. Here in the Bay Area, there's a lot of different tech companies where they have major IPOs that provides a lot of revenue for the state. Those aren't happening. The May revision doesn't contemplate recession. However, the Department of Finance does with the $40 billion deficit. And the Legislative Analyst Office predicts a 2/3 chance that the revenues are off from the May revision. Another thing to note here is the Prop 98 Public School System Stabilization Account. The current reserve levels, it's derived from Proposition 2 in 2014, and this safety reserve is used to backfill Prop 98 revenue in downturns. The balance is going to be $10.7 billion in fiscal year 23-24. So this is above the 3% of Prop 98 funding, triggering a reserve cap. In order for the governor to utilize these funds, he'd have to call a state budget emergency and declare the utilization of these funds. He has not decided yet that he's going to do so, but here's one of the ways, a way for, if revenues decline further, for us to kind of be saved. So let's get into the Prop 98 budget. So that's K through 14 education funding here in the state of California, and how this pertains to Jefferson Elementary School District. There's been a $2 billion reduction in the Prop 98 guarantee. Good news is that the cost of living adjustment, or COLA, rose 0.09% from January to 8.22%. However, there's been major one-time reductions from one-time funding to fund the cost of living adjustment. So you guys are aware, we did have the Arts and Music Instructional Block Grant. It is discretionary funds that we could use for increases in PERS and STIRS, our pension systems. It's discretionary and different from Prop 28, which is 1% of funding in Prop 98 specifically for arts and music. There's been a 50% total reduction, leaving us, initially we were to receive $3 million, but we are now receiving $1.5 million in these discretionary monies. Additionally, the Learning Recovery Block Grant had been reduced 32%. So initially we were to receive $7.5 million. Now we're looking at about $5 million. These reductions are now funding the cost of living adjustment for our LCFF or our general fund. Luckily, there's also some money set aside for the cost of living adjustment for our categorical programs, as well as special education, preschool, and child nutrition. So there's just a deficit in Prop 98, and if there continues to be a deficit, we're expecting, or could expect, more cuts to be happening with funding. Okay, so what's not in the May revision? The governor he hasn't pulled from any of our reserves. He hasn't deferred the money that we would normally receive, which are two different mechanisms he could utilize to help solve budget deficits. He hasn't said that he hasn't pushed a deficit COLA, which means that he wouldn't fully fund the COLA. One thing I do want to note here, that the cost of living adjustment is not an indicator of state budget health, okay? It is a measure of inflation in arrears. And so, the COLA is to fund statutory increases, and it's not new funding, right? Remember that. Another thing not included in the May revision is a potential AB 938. It's a assembly member in Torrance. He wants to increase the local control funding formula to funding targets 50% higher than they are in 2030 and 31. That's still up for the governor to veto. That's just like we had last year. We had the LCFF amendment and other ways that we had received more funding in LCFF. This is another way for that to happen, but is not in the May revision. So here's a great example. I took it from School Services of California. They assist in financial matters within school districts all up and down the state. So I want to show you guys what effective COLA is, right? So in this example, there's a district with 10,000 students, average daily attendance. One has no enrollment change. One has a 2.5% decline in the average daily attendance. So in both districts, right, there's a 6.56% COLA. The district that has no enrollment change sees 6.56% increase, not increase, but a cost of living adjustment for the funding of those students. District 2 loses 2.5% of students. So the effective rate of the COLA, or the cost of living adjustment that they're getting, is truly only 3.89%, right? So this doesn't consider increased costs associated with servicing our existing salary schedules or increased contributions for employee benefits, as well as CalSTRS and CalPERS. CalSTRS is flat, but CalPERS is going up to 26%. So as we move forward into our budget development and our multi-year projection, the LCFF funding with the 8.22% COLA, 63.9, almost $64 million. The out-year COLAs, we have 8.22, 3.94, and 3.29. Those could be adjusted based on, like I said, in arrears, the inflation data that comes out. Some of the major things I do want to point out is that our attendance rate, or ADA to enrollment rate, is 92.86%, okay, which is average up and down the state of California. So in our multi-year projection, we're utilizing this lower rate of attendance. I just want to say that, historically our attendance rate has been 96.5%, and that's here at the district as well as the state. There's some things that are kind of in our control, but they're kind of out of our control, right? This is something that is happening all up and down the state. The more we can do to get children at school, learning, and just being there, it helps us, helps the students in the classroom, right? But it also helps our funding as well. Other things is that I want to mention is that our unduplicated account, so our supplemental and concentration funding, we utilize the flat rate out. Stepping column for our salaries is included. The negotiations for our bargaining units are underway currently. And this does not include, I've been notified by our SMCSIG, our Joint Powers of Authority, that our insurance rates are due to go up this year, so that is not calculated in this multi-year projection. And this is former Board President Clayton Koo's favorite slide, the multi-year projection. Some things to consider here. This is from the second interim presentation that I gave in March. We just updated the new top line revenue amounts, okay? When I come back in June 14th, we'll look at the budget for next year utilizing different metrics, right? Or the same metric, but utilizing newer expenditure data, right? Moving forward. You can see here, we're looking pretty good in 23, 24. We are looking at a surplus, but however, in 24, 25, and 25, 26, that surplus dwindles until we hit a deficit. It's hard to predict 2 years out, right? This, as a disclosure, this isn't a measuring stick for how right we were, how wrong we were, like this time next year, right? We're always utilizing the data that we have here at the district, as in the different programs that we have, the staffing levels we want, different support staff that we need, right? And any data that we get from the state's health, economic health. So, this is a snapshot in time. And as we move forward, these will just continue to be snapshots in time with the information that we have, right? Okay, so some concerns and considerations. Like I said, this is the most updated budget information that we have at the state level and how that applies to us locally. The governor's budget proposal maybe revision is built on shaky revenues. Like I said, the legislative analyst office expects tax revenues to fall further. What I see is a major risk is utilizing one-time funding to fund ongoing cost of living adjustment. The impacts of tax deferrals can cloud, the revenue assumptions. And, one thing I want to always like to point out is that because we are in a test 1 year of Prop 98, the base level of funding or guaranteed level of funding isn't guaranteed year over year. So that can continue to go down pending state revenues. Another thing I want to bring up, so as I go back to this multi-year projection, our top line revenue starts to go down, and this slide falls in line with the cost of living adjustment, as well as how our top line revenue is affected by the 3-year average and how the average is going down. So in 22-23, our actual ADA is 4,609 students. Our funded ADA is 5,397 students. So a difference of 788 ADA. Okay. So as we go on through the next few fiscal years, that average goes down significantly over in the future, right? So the bottom portion of these, the bottom portion table, right, it looks at our LCFF revenues. How do these things correlate? Well, you can see here in 23-24, we have an 8.22% cost of living adjustment. So the revenue for 23-24 is $63.9 million, right? The revenue in this current year is $63.3 million, an increase of around $650,000. The effective cost of living adjustment that we're getting is 0.98, not 8.22%. And that's due to the 3-year average funded ADA going down a significant amount. So just, this is a slide I want to emphasize. Our funding is dependent on average daily attendance, and sometimes there's a misconception of cost of living adjustment being new funding, and how that percentage, there's an effective rate, not the rate that you see, right? Okay, so next steps, our balanced budget must be adopted by the district on or before June 30th. We will be coming back for a public hearing for the budget and the LCAP on the June 14th, 2023 meeting, as well as on the 28th, we'll be approving our budget. After the budget is approved by the state, we don't have a meeting in July, but in August, we will come back and I'll give you guys an update on what are the changes. They could be good, they could be bad. I think right now there's a lot of uncertainty, as you all know. We've been in uncertain times for the last 3 years. So, I think the best thing we can do is just wait, see, be conservative, and take this time off in July to time for yourself. But do you guys have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Laurel. Do fellow board trustees have any comments or questions? And if there's multiple questions, we're going to do the same thing. And I'll start on my right-hand side. Or sorry, yes, right.
I appreciate the projection and us seeing it. I think reading in between the lines is really, as board trustees and working with administration, really doing a deep dive of what do we have control over, and how can we be supportive, even in the advocacy level. If the governor's, whatever he's sitting on, we know that there's a level of advocacy. I think for me, processing all that you've given is very helpful. But the question I'm writing to myself is how do we insert ourselves to be supportive of any level of advocacy, or what control do we even have to help navigate through some of these things that we have to gear up to endure?
That's a great question. It came up in me and Assistant Superintendent Valenti's negotiation meetings. There's different petitions for things like AB 938 that we could sign. And hopefully get some attention to set some goals for increased funding. That's dependent on state revenues, right? And sometimes we have to just play the hand that we're dealt. I think we're very fortunate to have a healthy reserve, like Trustee Ali, strategic use of a reserve. I don't think I'm not pushing the panic button per se, but I do want you guys to understand that moving forward, our budget is highly dependent on the economy of the state, as well as the greater economy of the United States and the global economy, right? So yeah, I think we're in a position where, we can utilize strategic reserves, in the out years. There's deficit spending, but we're not, at a level where we're spending 50 or half of our savings at once, right? So we can be very calculated and we have a long road before we get to that point. But some of the advocacy I could share with you later.
So I have a comment on actually an item on the consent agenda, and that is we approved a contract with the communications firm Volair SA. Sounds like that's been a really productive partnership for the districts, so I'm glad to see that moving forward. And reading through that, one section that they have is on marketing to new students and families. So Trustee Lianga-Anawai talked about what is in our control. And there's a lot of declining enrollment that is not in our control. A lot of families have moved away due to the very high cost of being in the Bay Area. But it seems like through our work with this firm, they could provide some valuable consulting on how can we market the district, how can we recruit to families to make sure that we're doing everything we can with eligible families to bring them to our district. So, I guess I want to implore our current new district leadership to work with them. Part of their contract says that they will meet regularly with district leadership to discuss and support recruitment and retention of students. So I would like to see, what have they done for other districts and how else can they help us kind of put together a marketing plan? Because I think that's what's needed.
I don't have a question, but similar to what has been said before, I think what would be helpful for me is if we could frame some of these budget discussions in, from the lens of like, what are our strengths? What are the weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? I know a lot of people have heard of this before, SWOT analysis. So I think I'm hearing some of the opportunities, and we hear a lot about the threats. But yeah, I'd like to hear about more of what we can do to help and go after some of those opportunities that are out there.
I have no questions or comments at this time.
I echo my fellow trustees. Thank you, Mr. Laro. Looking forward to getting more information, at the next update on the 14th, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to be moving to item 12A, certificated retirements and revised retirement dates for 2022-2023. The administration recommends approval of the retirement request and retirement revision dates from the following, and also request appropriate resolutions be prepared commending them for their years of service with the district. I have Marcia Mehrhoff, RSP teacher, Garden Village and Westlake, effective June 10th, 2023. Athena H. Putras, K1 teacher at MP Brown, effective September 30th of 2023. And Mary Jo Kabata Arcarise, TK Garden Village, effective July 25th, 23. Are there any comments on this item?
Miss Mary Jo Kubata Arcarezi, she's requesting a shift from July 25th
apologies.
to
Yes.
December 28th.
Thank you, Superintendent Vidales. With that correction, if there are no questions or comments, I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make the motion, but I also want to just thank Marcia Mehrhoff, Athena Putras, and Mary Jo Kubota for your service to our community. We admire the hard work that you've contributed in service to our students and our families. And while you will be departing our district, I know that the impact that you've had on our families will be remembered and deeply felt for many years to come. So I would like to make a motion to approve and celebrate the certificated retirements of those that have been listed here.
Second.
So first and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Congratulations on your retirement. The next item on the agenda is item 12C, administrative appointment 2023-24. The administration recommends ratification of the following administrative appointment for Melissa R. Mazel, principal of Fernando Rivera Intermediate School, effective July 20th, 2023. 1 MWDMA Step 8 plus a 2200 for double MA degree. Are there any comments? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Before I make a motion, I wanted to say congratulations. So that's all. Yeah, I motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Motion approved, and congratulations to Ms. Mazel on her appointment as principal of Fernando Rivera.
Miss Jordan, if I could just say one thing after
Yes.
too. She was planning on coming today, but she's being honored at her soon-to-be former school. So she did write a little statement here. I'll pass it out for y'all to read. And she's really looking forward to coming to our district. Thank you.
Thank you. So while that is going around, I'm going to, in light of time, I know we've been here for a really long time. I'm going to keep moving forward with our agenda. I'm going to move on to item 13A, retirement of classified personnel. The administration recommends approval of the retirement request for the following employee and requests an appropriate resolution be prepared commending him for his years of service within the district. So this is for Edgardo Ravago, custodian 2 at MH Tobias. Date of hire was November 23rd of 1998, effective June 17th of 2023. Are there any comments from fellow trustees? And if not, I will entertain a motion.
Sure. So I guess I will do the same thing. I'll entertain a motion. And again, once again, congratulations to Edgardo Ravago. Again, we appreciate all the work you've done with our district.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 That was unanimous. Motion was approved. Congratulations on your retirement, Mr. Ravago. We're now going to be moving on to item number 14, persons wishing to address the board on unagendized items or closed session items. This portion of the agenda is available to comment on or address the board on any issues that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda, or an item addressed in closed session. The maximum amount of time allowed is 2 minutes. And I am going to invite Mr. Feldman to the podium.
Oh, there you go. Hello, everybody. My name is Matthew Feldman. I own and operate the Latchkey Alternative Center. We're on the site of FDR Roosevelt. My grandfather started the business. We've been there for over 40 years. The 2 portables that we rent from you guys were actually given to the Latchkey Alternative Center in a grant we wrote from Hewlett Packard. So we've been there for about 20 years. We used to rent 2 portables, 2 classrooms in the school there. We have 2 programs. We are a preschool program and we are a before after school and a summer program. We serve 2-year-olds to 4-year-olds. A lot of our students are on vouchers, which are their tuition is paid from the state for their 4 Cs, County of San Francisco. Last summer, we received a wonderful grant from San Mateo County. We gave out over $40,000 in tuition scholarships. My purpose here today is just to introduce myself. It's been a weird couple years with the pandemic and everything. So I'm just here to say hello. I've kind of taken over with my mom running the business. You guys approved our lease today. I was working with Michael a little bit, so thank you for that. I thank you for the partnership for over coming up on 40 years. I look forward to continuing that partnership and affecting and inspiring as many kids as we can. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Feldman. Oh, and I see we lost Mrs. Zerner, our librarian, and so I will move on to Ms. Mebulang.
Hi, thank you all for letting me speak. As a parent whose children have now moved on to high school and college, but who previously attended JESD schools, I'm here because I want to go on record to say that I strongly support the school board's continuing to fly the Pride Progress flag at all school sites during the month of June. We all know that flags are powerful symbols, and as long as there are people who are working hard to pass legislation designed specifically to hurt the LGBTQ+ community, which, make no mistake, includes children, it is imperative that our school district sends the strong message that we support our LGBTQ+ students, staff, and families. Elementary school is certainly not too young to teach children that they are loved for who they are, whoever that may be, nor that families should be respected. I understand that some people believe that it is against their religion to accept the right for LGBTQ+ people to exist. While I personally find that abhorrent, I respect the right of parents and guardians to teach their own children their values. We live in an area that is famous around the world for its diversity, and we should embrace the opportunity to have discussions with our children about the things that are important to us. You can't control everything that your children see and hear out in the world, and not talking about important and sensitive topics doesn't make them disappear. The mere sight of a flag has never changed anyone's sexuality or gender identity. But what the sight of the Pride Progress flag does do is to send a message to those particular students, teachers, staff, and families who have historically been wrongly persecuted that they don't need to be afraid here. It also sends the message to those who do not identify with the LGBTQ+ community that they can live their lives in the presence of others who are not exactly like them. If the simple act of flying a flag can send a message that makes life a little easier for even one student, it's totally worth it. So thank you to our school board for understanding that.
Thank you. I'm going to call on Mr. Saunders.
Yeah, I'll make this short and sweet. I just wanted to tell everyone I support the flag flying and thank you for doing that. Makes me really proud to live here. So, thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Saunders.
Good evening. My name is Amy Saunders. I'm a parent of an intermediate student and also a high school student. And I want to, first of all, thank Superintendent Vidalis for your years of visionary leadership to our district. And as a parent, I've always appreciated the communication and the leadership that you shared. So congratulations on your retirement. And I also want to echo the sentiments of strong support and deep appreciation for the flying of the Pride Progress flag. As a mom, as a community member, it's something that's very important to me that we see this and that our children see this and that it is an extension of the inclusiveness that we reflect into our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And then I'm going to call on former President Koo.
Good evening again. It's nice to see you all. I'm speaking here so as more of a citizen and just a resident, just to thank the board for in the last meeting voting unanimously to raise the Progress Pride flag for the month of June, as well as every month moving forward. I know last year we only voted for 1 year, so just want to say thank you for making this more of a permanent action that the board's taking. When the board took this action last year, we reiterated our district support for inclusion, acceptance, and tolerance against any type of discrimination within our schools and across our communities. When school districts, cities, states, elected officials all across the country are taking major steps to tell people who they can or cannot be I believe that raising the flag is just one small gesture that we can take, and there's a lot more we can do beyond that as well. I have many friends who identify as part of the LGBTQIA plus community, and they shouldn't do any different or treat any differently just for the way they are or who they love. And just want to make sure that that is also true across all of our students, parents, families in the district as well too. It is 2023, and we've come a long way to get to this point. And seeing a flag raised across all of our schools district sites not only further reaffirms the district's mission and values, but also ensures we represent the diverse community that we all truly represent. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Are there any additional comments on unagendized items or closed session items? Seeing as there's not, I am going to close public comment at this time. We're going to be moving to item 15, governance team members' comments, reports, and board meeting reflection. And I am going to start on my left.
Right. Well, I just wanted to thank the community for all of your comments. I wanted to thank the participation of my fellow trustees and our cabinet members, and to once again congratulate Superintendent Vidalis and welcome future Superintendent Sandy McCulloch.
I just want to commend our community for several events that I've attended recently, resource fairs, the District 5 Resource Fair, and also I think it's Aging Adults and Active Adult Resource Fair, which was in Westlake. And I believe I ran into the Latchkey folks at one of those fairs. So that was great. And people from the Peninsula, Daly City Peninsula Partnership, a lot of folks that we work with have been really active in the last few weeks. And I think we did a good job, as usual, of focusing on the best interests of our students.
I guess it feels like some clouds on the horizon a little bit with the budget presentation, fears of that, but a lot of hope, sunshine, optimism with the LCAP presentation, with the textbook adoption, a lot to look forward to going on in our district. And I guess bittersweet news from the retirement. So congratulations again, Superintendent Vidalis, and good meeting. Thank you.
I appreciate hearing the comments this evening about support in raising a flag that isn't just about inclusion, but for me, it's a sign of love. It really is, because when we love in the variety of ways that we do, we actually provide a space where people feel safe. My oldest son, in June, we walked the Pride Parade in San Francisco, and June 19th is his birthday. He would be turning 38 this year. His first negative experience was when he was a student at Christopher Columbus up the street here when it was still a school, and because he was trying to figure himself out and he didn't feel safe, so he didn't want to go to school anymore. And so a lot of times our students aren't able to verbalize these things, not because of lack of trust, but it's really understanding if they are in a space where they feel safe. And this flag symbolizes so much more than the things that we're speaking to. The flag symbolizes that I can go to school because there are people that are providing a space that's safe and I'm accepted. And to me, that's love. So I'm so grateful and proud that our district fully supports this moving forward. We've decided that it's going to continue to fly here in Jefferson Elementary School District, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud that we continue to step forward and step up. You will always find that here in this district. And I will always be proud to say that and sit with colleagues who demonstrate that courageous leadership. I want to wish our community a happy Memorial Weekend. Hope you guys get to barbecue, that we get some sun out here in Daly City. We've been lucky. It's been hit and miss, been showing up. We've been getting spurts of that, but it's a special holiday for many of us. So I hope that you all have a great one. And again, just bravo to you, Bernie. I wish you all the best. I hope that you catch some some rays of sun, wearing that lei somewhere festive, enjoying some spirited beverages, enjoying your retirement. Just all the best. The wisdom that I sit with as a board trustee from you is just absolutely immeasurable. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and God bless you.
I echo my board trustee sentiments. I also want to thank everyone that has stayed until the end. I know it has been a long evening, and so I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your dedication and passion to ensuring that your voices are heard. And for everyone that's listening, from the comfort of their homes, I want you all to know that we as a board are here for your students and for our community, and our goal is to ensure that we are making the right decisions to ensure that our community in our district has the best foundation to continue to grow and build upon. Congratulations again, Bernie. I know this isn't going to be the last time we're going to continue to say congratulations. You technically still have about 30 days left. 20 days left. Fine, okay. But we are truly grateful for the time that we've had with you, and really do definitely look forward to hearing some stories that are not in the boardroom and truly about how you're enjoying your retirement. And with that, we are going to convene to close session at 9:32 p.m.
Let's meet in the conference room by 9:40. I guess